Earlier today, the state of Illinois filed a lawsuit challenging Donald Trump's unlawful and unwarranted plans to deploy armed military troops to Chicago. There is no invasion here. There is no insurrection here. And local and state law enforcement are on the job and managing what they need to. Without my permission and against my vigorous objections, the president has federalized 300 Illinois National Guard military troops and hundreds of National Guard members from Texas, and he has ordered them to activate for duty in Illinois. I have called upon Governor Abbott to immediately withdraw his support for this decision and refuse to allow Texas National Guard members to be used in this way. Let me be clear. Donald Trump is using our service members as political props and as pawns in his illegal effort to militarize our nation's cities. For weeks now, Donald Trump, Kristi Noem, and Gregory Bovino have brought their militarized CBP and ICE agents to the streets of Chicago to cause violence and chaos in this city. They need to stop inciting our city's residents. Since the beginning of this invasion, families have been snatched up off the streets or removed from their homes, zip-tied and detained for hours, including especially U.S. citizens and legal residents of our state. And in the words of CBP Chief Patrol Agent Greg Bovino, they're being chosen by how they look. Peaceful protesters have been hit with tear gas and shot with rubber bullets. Journalists simply reporting the facts on the ground have been targeted and arrested. U.S. citizens, including children, have been traumatized and detained. This escalation of violence is targeted and intentional and premeditated. The Trump administration is following a playbook: cause chaos, create fear and confusion, make it seem like peaceful protesters are a mob by firing gas pellets and tear gas canisters at them. Why? To create the pretext for invoking the Insurrection Act so that he can send military troops to our city. He wants to justify and normalize the presence of armed soldiers under his direct command. I refuse to let Donald Trump, Kristi Noem, and Gregory Bovino continue on this march toward autocracy. Their plan all along has been to cause chaos, and then they can use that chaos to consolidate Donald Trump's power. They think they can fool us all into thinking that the way to get out of this crisis that they created is to give them free rein. Well, that plan will only work if we let it. The state of Illinois is going to use every lever at our disposal to resist this power grab and get Noem's thugs the hell out of Chicago. I'm not afraid. I am not afraid, and I won't back down. Now, before I turn the podium over, the court here has given U.S. Department of Justice 2 days to respond in writing to the state's TRO motion. They have to respond by midnight Wednesday night, and the next hearing will be on Thursday.
So, you obviously ISP has been out there. Do you expect that ISP's presence will continue? Do you expect, if the National Guard does go to Broadview, does begin assisting ICE, that local law enforcement will pull back further? What do you see the role of local law enforcement if the National Guard?
The role of local law enforcement to protect the people who are protesting and their First Amendment rights, the people of Broadview, that we've been called up by the Broadview police. So that's their role, is to back up local police and make sure that the people in that area are kept safe. That doesn't change because there are federalized Illinois National Guard. They're under the orders of the President of the United States, and the Illinois State Police is under the control of the state government and of me. Jacob.
I've heard you describe, excuse me for 1 second, sir. I've heard you describe today the presence of the federal law enforcement here as illegal and unconstitutional. You have said it's a pretext for the invocation of the Insurrection Act. You have said you'll use all authorities at your disposal as the governor of the state to push back on this. and I just heard you talk about your control of the state police here. Beyond legal challenges, what does that push back against the potential invocation of the Insurrection Act look like? Would you order the state police to arrest or detain federal officials or stand in the way of federal law?
No, we follow the law in Illinois. We follow the law. Unlike Donald Trump, we follow the law. We have made sure that, again, under state law, that we've provided funding for programs so that people know their rights, so that they can protect themselves. That's first and foremost. We've made sure that we've pleaded with the public to take action by using their phones to videotape anything and everything that they see. We want to make sure that that's recorded. It's why we were able to even show some video here today. And again, beyond going to court, we have encouraged people to shop at small businesses, to help out your neighbors. We provided support for those children who've been traumatized and for their families by those attacks. But it is the courts, in the end, that are going to have to rule on whether or not Donald Trump has the ability to call up National Guard from another state or from our state.
Not direct the state police in any way to stop an operation by the federal government.
The job of our state police, the mission that they've been given, is to keep the people who are in Broadview and who are protesting safe from ICE, who have been firing gas pellets at people when they've been peacefully protesting.
Does it mean to keep them safe? Does it mean to physically stop ICE agents from doing those types of activities?
Again, we follow the law. There are federal agents following what their orders are. We have our state police following my orders and the orders of the director of the state police.
Governor Pritzker, are you
Shia.
above federal
I have
law?
a little bit of a broader question. Can you tell me whether the government shutdown and the debate about health care for undocumented immigrants is somehow helping escalate this war on immigration? Is it all connected or not?
No. The only connection that you could ever find in that regard is that Donald Trump likes to go after Democrats, political opponents. You know, he's called the Democratic Party a leftist. His organization, his White House has called the Democratic Party a terrorist organization. He is attacking anybody that's opposed to him. So that's the only connection I can find. Otherwise, the reality is that he's just going after everybody that he views as standing in his way of imposing his authoritarian rule.
Federal officers assault journalists and residents for just yelling at officers for exercising their First Amendment right. How do you expect to maintain law and order and protect citizens who are actively exercising that First Amendment right if something is not there?
Yeah, let me be clear. Every instance that you're talking about is something that was incited by a federal agent. Everything you're talking about. So just to remind everybody, this is the pretext. They are creating an environment in which they're inciting people to do something more than just peacefully protest. When you're firing at people who are doing nothing more than yelling their First Amendment rights, right, saying what they believe, or holding signs, that's inciting people. So we're trying to make sure that we're standing between ICE officials, CBP, let's not forget them, officials, and the peaceful protesters, so that ICE and CBP are not firing at them, and that we're doing our best to protect them. That's what we can do. Now, we will record everything. We are trying to record as many things as we can, make sure there is video and testimony to what these federal agents are doing. And the federal government, normally, there are inspectors general, there are investigators that will investigate a circumstance of a federal agent breaking the law. If that doesn't take place, and we have evidence to back up if they do, but we are doing those, and again, I gave you the example of DCFS and the Department of Human Services doing their job to look at those records and to talk to the people who've been affected. There are also private attorneys, I want to add, who are going after this, because there is also private right of action for people. So in addition to the work that the Attorney General is doing, there are organizations like the ACLU who are filing lawsuits against the folks at CBP and ICE. I just want to say one other thing about CBP, because I don't think people are paying attention to this fact. CBP is only allowed to operate within a certain number of miles of the border. Well, they have declared that the border is at the shores of Lake Michigan. That is why they're allowed to operate now, or at least why they're being told they're allowed to operate in the city of Chicago. That doesn't seem right to me. The border, as far as I know, first of all, if you go all the way across Lake Michigan, you'll find a border, but also, more than 1,000 miles away from here is the border on the south of the state of the United States.